Hello, and welcome to Python with MySQL Database. I'm your instructor, David Baker, and this course is brought to you by CreativeOnlineSchool.com. In the previous video, we learned about what variables are, and I gave a brief introduction to myself. Going forward in this video, we're going to be learning about what data types are and why we need to use them, and why there are so many different ones. So let's go ahead and get into a Python terminal. And the first data type you would need to know about are what booleans are. So a boolean is just true or false. And in Python, true and false are capitalized to make them booleans. Otherwise, they're considered just strings, or they can be set to variables. But true and false are just a logical comparison, or a logical return of a comparison. So if I'm doing 1 equal to 1. So I'm asking, is 1 equal to 1? It will say true. If I ask, is 1 equal to 2? Then the boolean that is returned is false. Again, these are just boolean data types. Going forward, next we have strings. Strings are anything enclosed in quotation marks. So again, we can have hello, creative, online, school. And this would be considered a string, and once we print it out, we get a string back. These strings can be any length, and they can also contain numbers in them. So, hello creative online school 521, and still considered a string. The next data type are numbers, but however, in Python there are two types of numbers. There are integers and floats. So integers are fairly self-explanatory. Integers are anything such as 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. They're just numbers that don't have any decimal place, or as most people know them, whole numbers. Floats, on the other hand, are numbers that have decimal places. So anything like 1.2 or let's say 3.0, these are all floats. The important difference between these are, in Python, when you're doing math, specifically division, you get different data types returned based on the method that you use. So if I do 1 divided by 2, I will get a float returned because I'm using this single slash or single forward slash. However, if I use a double forward slash, I will get a boolean, not a boolean, but an integer returned, because this double slash means that I want to round it to the nearest integer, or I need an integer returned. This can be important for any specific operation that you're doing. If you cannot be using floats, you need to know that you need to use the double slashes. The next data type that we have are lists. So a list is anything that is enclosed in braces. So I'm just going to make a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And lists contain several elements that are comma separated within the list. And so we just hit enter, and then we can print out the list and see what's inside of it. The important thing about lists is that we can index into it. So we can see one element out of the entire list. So if I do L of 0, so I'm taking the 0th element, which in Python is the first one, because Python starts indexing, counting at 0. So it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I can access any point in this list by accessing its index. However, if I go to index 5, it is out of range because I do not have a fifth element according to Python, because 5, or the fifth number, would actually be a 6th element. Next, we have sets, which are extremely similar to lists in the way that they can store multiple, or a large amount of information and multiple separate pieces of information. However, with sets, they are unordered. So a set you cannot index into, which is very important because sets contain less metadata, and that means that they take up less space on your computer, and they take less time to actually find information in. So this is just like a difference of when you would use lists and sets if you're trying to save some space. And the final one that we will be talking about today are dictionaries. So a dictionary is a set of key value pairs. And what I mean by that is I will show you. So we have a key, and then we have the value separated by a colon. And I'll go ahead and put another element in here, which will just be separated by a comma. And I'll just put hello, and then I'll put as the value creative online school. And then we just hit enter. It stores this dictionary, and dictionaries are also unordered in their individual elements. However, their key value pairs are still mapped to each other. So I can access each individual value within the dictionary by typing in their key. So to access the first value, or the value of key, in this case I would type in key, I would get value. So this would be this first pair of information. To get the second pair of information, I would type in the key hello, and then I will get the value of Creative Online School. I hope that this video has been helpful for you with a just brief introduction to what data types are and the different data types within Python. In the next video, we will actually be learning about what a database is and why to use them.